there, fictional friends, and welcome to another episode of Fully Booked. I'm Megan.
And I'm Shireen.
And it's a bonus episode.
Oh my god, bonus!
Woo! I'm dancing with this really weird little clown squishmallow, which is both comforting and terrifying to look at, and I can't decide which one.
You picked that one.
I know. It was just sitting right there. Anyway, it doesn't matter. That's not what we're here to talk about. Okay, yes, it's a bonus episode. Yes, we're late. I'm sorry. We've been busy. The summer months are just ridiculous.
It's my fault.
Yeah.
My bad.
It's okay. But we're here to talk about specifically Bridgerton Season 3, Part 2. I mean, I'll preface again by saying spoilers, but like if you haven't watched it by now,
what are you even doing?
I kind of don't know what to tell you. And why would you be listening to part 2 before you watched all 4 of the last episodes? Like there are so many things, you know.
Go watch it.
Yeah.
Stop listening now and go watch it.
Exactly. So we're talking about the last 4 episodes of this past season. For those who don't remember how we finished things last time, Penelope and Colin got a little bit frisky in the carriage, and then he asked her to marry him in like a really cute kind of fun way. And so everything picks up basically immediately after that when they go into Bridgerton House for him to announce to the whole family that they're engaged. Yay!
Yeah.
And
like,
everybody's excited except Eloise.
Because the first thought you have going through your mind is, oh God. And you can see it on Pen's face as well. She's like, this isn't good. Like maybe we need to like take a minute here.
100%, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because understandably, everybody else is basically excited. Everyone likes Pen.
Yep.
You know, Violet's like over the moon. She's thrilled. She loves this match. Like, you know, the younger kids, all of them, she's been in their lives for a long time. And even, I think you can tell that like Anthony and Benedict are kind of like, huh. But they're like, no, I'm happy about it. I'm just like, wow, where the hell did that come from?
And like, I think, you know, from what we've seen so far, I think you and I were talking about this, Megan, like it's so funny because you keep hearing on this show like how rare a love match is, but it's like all the Bridgerton children have their love matches. And so like Anthony is kind of like, yeah, okay, well, if that's your love match, then you go, Glen
I guess
Coco.
that's cool. Yeah, that's
You know?
it. I think that a large part of the whole thing with the Bridgerton children in general is meant to be that because they had the example of their own parents who were a love match, they kind of, whether they really want to or not, they have a tendency to follow that same sort of path for themselves to a degree.
Well, I also think that Violet like strongly pushes them in
really
that
does.
direction.
Oh my God.
And like you really see it with Francesca
yes.
and her match and
John.
how like
yeah.
Like Violet's like, I don't get it. Like it's not like, you know, everyone's in love. There's big stars and, you know, fireworks and whatnot. And, you know, she struggles with understanding it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So the engagement is announced. Eloise confronts Pen and is like, you haven't told him, have you, that you're Lady Whistledown? And of course she begs her not to do so. And she's like, you need to, if you're going to marry him and he chooses to marry you anyway, that's his fucking prerogative. Yeah. But you need to be honest with him.
Yeah. And it's just like this whole like, you know, series of events ensues and you're like, oh, here we go. One of those things.
It's all of those, like she keeps trying and then something will interrupt them or someone will say something else.
Or she chickens out
at the last minute because of a comment that he makes or a way that, like, you know, he says or he'll say something and she's like, oh, nothing, everything's fine. And you're like,
because he's like, you know, he'll casually like slide in how much he hates Whistledown.
Exactly. So she writes her, you know, Whistledown paper to announce that this is happening and this engagement has like not quite officially been announced, but of course the whole point is that she knows all the gossip, right? So she spreads all of that around. Everybody learns about it. Mama Featherington's very upset because she had to read about it in Whistledown. Her daughter didn't tell her, but considering the way that she treats her, I don't really think it's that big of a deal.
Well, I think she gets over it pretty quickly when she's like, oh, but you're marrying a Bridgerton.
Yeah,
so.
well, that's it. So what does she have to be pissed off about?
Right.
Nothing. Like, yeah, okay, fine. She was going to marry Lord Debling or whatever, and then that didn't happen, and he had a very vast fortune, but Colin's not exactly pinching pennies, is he? So.
No, and I think also, you know, the fact that this announcement comes out, like, as Pen's sisters are both announcing that they're expecting at the same time.
Yeah, so for her, this is, like, a really great thing overall. So, of course, like, Pen kind of goes into this elated and happy because she's in love, but also extremely nervous about this decision that she'll have to make to tell Colin, because Eloise is legitimately like, if you do not tell him, I will. So
yeah, and like it's like, you know, you get it to a certain extent because it is her brother, and like she knows how strongly Colin feels about this, and also like, you know, they do a good job of reminding us like all the situations that Penn has included about them in Whistledown that like were quite detrimental to their lives at the time, like Marina, and then, you know, writing about Eloise the previous season and whatnot. And so they do a good job of reminding like the audience why
she should be
them.
she should be so nervous as well, like in the sense that when he finds out, you know, he's going to be pissed. Like there's no two ways about it. Like he will be angry.
Yeah, because it's not just like a pointless vendetta that he has against Whistledown.
No,
like,
there are
personal.
Reasons. Yes, there are reasons for it. And yes, has he gotten over the whole thing with Marina? Yes, he has. Like he's kind of moved along from that. But at the time,
he's still very honorable.
Yeah, and it did cause him a lot of strife at that time.
Yeah.
So I kind of understand it. You know, and at the same time, what you've got happening too is the queen is pissed because she tried to set Francesca up with that Iranian lord that we were talking about that last time. Remember?
We were laughing.
Remember?
We were
And then John had that music that she had commented on previously rearranged, and she just wanted to go home and play it on her pianoforte. So she literally ran off to do that and didn't accept the lemonade that the other one brought back to her. And she's just like, she's not, the whole thing with the Charlotte is so funny because she's just standing there with what's his name? Oh my God, Brimsley.
Oh yeah.
And she's like, what's happening? And he's just like, and she did not accept his lemonade because she like ran out the door to go home. She's like, Mama, I want to go home and play my pianoforte. And her mom's like, yeah, right. Okay. But she's also like, who the fuck is this essentially? Because she barely knows him. Yeah. Oh my God, I totally forgot. I don't know if we mentioned it in the first part or not, but when John Sterling, that's it, Francesca's like love interest in this season, when he comes to Bridgerton House to call on her like the night after they've met essentially, and he comes in to see her, there's this really funny little, I love what she does there, there's this really funny little moment where he says he's come in to call on one of her daughters, and Eloise steps behind Gregory because she's like,
I know, she's like, oh no,
she's like, fuck, and she's like, I don't even know who this motherfucker is.
I know, it's so good.
It's so funny.
I love Eloise. She's just the best character.
I think she's just, I think that Claudia Jessie is just, she has really great, really subtle comedic timing.
Yeah, she does.
And she's so clever with the way that she does these little things that always remind you of the type of person that Eloise is as a character.
She really does. Yeah, she embodies that character.
She really does. Yeah. So there's like that going on at the same time. And
pop off
in the fifth episode, I guess. Yeah, that's it. Where you've got all of that nervousness. And also, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is the episode where Kate and Anthony decide that maybe they won't stick around for a while. Like, Violet's obviously doing perfectly well as Dowager Viscountess and running things at Bridgerton House without issue, and Benedict can also pick up the slack.
Come back and they want to announce that she's preggo?
Yes, but they're... Right. Oh, right, and they're going to do it, but then the engagement's announced, and they're like, oh, fuck, I guess we're waiting.
Like, well, I guess we're waiting.
Yeah. But then they do it not too long after that, which is nice, and it's lovely, and they're so cute.
And then they're like, we're gonna go to India now. Bye.
And I'm gonna say it again, but Simone Ashley looks fucking stunning in this season. God, she's like beautiful.
Literally glowing.
Oh my God, she looks incredible.
Her and one of the Cinderella sisters there.
Oh my God, Philippa.
Yeah, her.
Yes, the middle Featherington sister. I don't know what they did to her hair. I don't know what they did to her makeup. The bugs. Oh my God, I love her. Bugs. Her sister's like,
butterflies. Like, I guess you're right, but yeah,
anyway,
we'll get to it.
It's so funny. And they are kind of making their own decisions at that time to, you know, because Edwina, Kate's sister, is, you know, back in India. I believe her mom is as well.
She is, yeah.
All right.
Well, it's not Kate's mom, right?
No, but she's their mom.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mary. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, and they're kind of like at a crossroads where it's like, you know, he's like, I would like to see India. Like, I think that we should do that. And she's like, really? Like, you're okay with leaving the family? He's like, it's kind of running itself at this point.
Yeah.
I think that this may be a vague indication that Kate and Anthony won't be back in the next season.
Probably.
I think that might have been like a nice exit for them to make.
I think so. Like, and they kind of do this in this show, and I don't know whether it's because the actors don't really want to come back.
I get it, because it might be a very big time constraint if they have other projects going on, and for
and
like
just like a
very
extra.
minimal screen time. Yeah, that's it. Like it's not like they're the focus of the show, so it's sort of like, will this interfere with other projects that they have? Whatever else is going on, you know.
It's kind of what they do, right? Like the first season was about Daphne, second season was about Anthony. Daphne kind of made a few appearances, and then in this season she's not in it at all. Yeah, and so I think they'll probably do the same with Anthony and Kate.
With Anthony and Kate, and I think that was kind of a graceful exit for them potentially if Simone Ashley and Jonathan Bailey have other things going on that they want to work on.
Probably will now.
Well, he's popping off all over the place. He's in Wicked, guys. That's coming out this year.
I know. He's in a bunch of stuff now.
Yeah, he's Fiyero in the Wicked adaptation that's coming out in November of this year, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think part 1 is out in like November. Anyway, they've released the trailer
bonus
for it.
episode.
Yeah, they released the trailer for it. Yeah, don't worry. We're definitely gonna be pumping out some bonus episodes because we all know that August 9th, It Ends With Us comes out. So we all know that we're gonna be talking about that at some point. But I will say that trailer dropped and My Tears Ricochet was the song in the trailer, and I really appreciated that. I was like, of course, there's a Taylor Swift song.
Of course, she's good. She's BFFs with Blake Lively.
Yeah, exactly. This is the episode where I love, after the first 4 episodes, I feel like people were like, it wasn't very spicy. Like, guys, don't worry. We saved it for part 2.
Okay, and I was on the train watching this. Yeah. And it hadn't been very spicy up until this moment. So I thought it was totally safe to be watching this in a public place. No,
30 minutes in,
tits and ass all over the place. And I was like, oh dear. There's a child sitting behind me. It was a whole thing.
This is this actually, this happens actually, like, overall, you have to admit, pretty early in the season, considering that they're not married yet. Like, Simon and Daphne were married. And yes, I realized Kate and Anthony were not, but it was like the second to last episode.
Yeah, they made you wait, but then that was like an indication to me that, like, okay, we were gonna have like a long drawn out feud now. Yeah,
exactly. You knew that because by like episode 4 or 5, we weren't getting anywhere with those two. We were like, this is gonna be like a wait till like the 11th hour kind of thing for that, which
for
is
them
true.
To be happy,
exactly, and they did. That's exactly what their story was. Mm-hmm. So essentially, Colin is reminding Pen how, like, wonderful she is physically, like, emotionally, mentally, basically, just like, he's like her hype man. It's so funny.
I know.
And he's just like essentially telling her like how wonderful she is and that she shouldn't doubt herself in any way, shape, or form. And this leads to sex.
I know. It's like, wow, a few nice words and that's it, girl. I'm like, you're just like, let's
boy,
go.
Does it ever lead to sex, guys? That was like a whole 10-minute scene.
I know.
I was like,
oh, okay. Yeah, all right, we're still going. And meanwhile, I'm on the train as this is happening. And I'm like, should I fast forward?
Just put it at like times 4 times 8 speed. You're like, oh, girl.
I had to like go back and rewatch it after because I was like, wow, this is like spicy forever.
Yes. Yeah, it just doesn't stop, and you're like, oh my god, okay, wow. Kudos to people who are willing to film scenes like this. This must be just mortifying to a degree.
I think I heard I read an interview where Nicola
Coughlan,
thank you, said that it was she wanted to do this scene because she really wanted to like give the finger to everybody out there who was like she doesn't have the body type for this, and she also wants to be able to look back when she's old and wrinkly and be like
God, I was fine.
Yeah, exactly. No shade to anybody who's old and wrinkly. That's also beautiful.
Not at all. All bodies are beautiful. Thank you very much. That's just what it is. So they consummate the relationship fully, and you're like, whoa, okay, wow. This is also, we're also starting to get like a little bit more of an indication that in spite of the progress made in the initial parts of the season with Cressida, she's still not that great of a person because she doesn't come from that great of a person either.
Well, I mean, like, she's kind of like, we do get to see a bit of Cressida's home life.
I'm not saying
she's not very well treated. No. And like she has to kind of go into like conniving, scheming mode at this point.
Well, so her parents, basically her father, he really sucks. Like her mother is sort of a product of who she stuck married to a degree. Yeah. But her father is kind of horrible and is basically just like, oh, you couldn't even secure a match with anyone your own age. Here's this old guy, Lord Greer, I think. Marry this old dude, and she's just like, is he gonna die soon? Because it's true, I would be hoping that too. I'd be like, okay, hopefully he's just gonna keel over within a couple of years and I won't have to deal with this anymore. And the guy's like, no, I can still have children, let's do that. And she's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, there's an article that called her Lady Ancient Von Geriatric.
Ew. So she's getting desperate because she's like, I can't do this. I cannot do this at all. And at this time, the queen has issued a reward for any information that brings them the identity of Lady Whistledown. What is it, 5,000 pounds?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I wonder, adjusted for inflation, how much that would be. But it's not
Probably
nothing.
a lot.
Yeah, probably a lot, honestly. So, so she decides, aha.
Well, enough. It was enough for Cressida to figure that she could move away to Vienna and start a new life and live happily ever after.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah, that's true. Which is,
a lot of money.
A lot of money. So she decides that you don't really know what she's going to do at first, but you're just like, oh, God, this can't be good. Whatever it is, this won't be good at all. So Colin's able to have a little bit of like a tete-a-tete with his brothers, who have like, again, a really cute scene. I love that Anthony is like protector for everybody, including women who are not his own sister.
I know, yeah.
Because he's just kind of like, hey, whoa, wait. Like they have a conversation where there's some innuendo and Anthony's just like, I'm sorry, have you compromised her in some way? And he basically says, like, yes, I did.
I boinked her,
and you can tell that Anthony's kind of like, whoa, what the fuck is wrong with you? And Benedict's like, what are you going to do? Duel your own brother? Like,
yeah. It's true, yeah, he says that too. Like, Benedict's, like, sitting there, like, he's going through all the motions this season for everything he can try out for fun.
Yes, exactly.
It's not like Anthony didn't do the same thing,
He did, but he felt like a shit afterwards, and he immediately was like, marry me, marry me, like immediately afterwards.
Yeah, but Colin and Pen are already engaged, so he didn't need to go into a panic.
Yeah, and plus, like, come on, they're gonna get fucking married. Come on now, ridiculous. Like, you knew they were going to. Yeah. So after all of this whole situation kind of takes place, what am I looking at here? Oh, right, yeah. So Francesca and John are still continuing their courtship, which is nice.
Which is nice. Megan, as the introvert, loves this interaction.
Oh my God, they're so stinking cute. God, they're cute. Oh, they're adorable. Just like sitting next to each other and just like, and they start chatting more as time goes on.
They get to know each other a bit better.
He's very introverted, but then like later on before they get married, he does like a little bachelor thing with like her brothers and stuff. And he's so fucking cute. God, he's adorable. Oh, he's so cute.
And I love how he like tries to be extroverted and like rocks up to like her mom and, Lady Danbury,
yes,
and like tries to tell a joke, and it just doesn't go well
she's like,
at all.
Oh, tell the story about this, and he does, and everyone's like crickets.
Yeah, I know, because he tells it all wrong. Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah. Weirdly, I want to like highlight like a couple of people, especially in the second half, that I think are like the real MVPs. With like Pen's situation, Varley is the tits. She's great.
Yeah, I know. She really goes all out for the Featherington.
She does. And she honestly, like, with Pen, she's just there and she's like, good for you that you're doing that. Like, she's like, she might work for the family and she just kind of ignores them when they're mean to her. But she's like, I also have raised these kids. Yeah. She's obviously been with them for a long time. I think Varley's hilarious.
Yeah, and she gets the bugs.
Oh my God, that's right. She does get the bugs because she's great. She's so funny.
She's scrappy too.
Yeah, exactly. When Eloise kind of like speaks to Colin about things, like, she's trying to suss out whether or not Penn told him, and obviously she has not at all. Oh yeah, everybody, after they all get all of this information from the Queen about the reward, a few people do kind of like get on board with like looking into this, like even the like Featherington sisters and stuff decide like a little bit that they're going to look into it. It doesn't really go anywhere because like they're just like throwing ideas out into the ether.
They
essentially,
they also don't care too much. Like they don't seem that they ever get committed to anything. Yeah, for very long.
No, not at all. So they have an engagement party. Essentially, at the end of that first episode, I think they have an engagement party and. Eloise is still pressuring Pen to tell Colin.
Yeah, she says you have until midnight.
Until midnight. And so she's getting more and more stressed out as time goes on, essentially. And when Cressida decides basically at midnight that she's going to make an announcement, she stands up and for some reason, again, like what, decides that she's just going to announce to the entire room that she's Lady Whistledown.
Yeah, and then she's going to go collect her ransom from the Queen.
And Pen faints because all of this is a lot for her to deal with.
She swooned.
Yeah, kind of, actually. I think they even say that later. They're just like, oh, yes, she swooned a little bit. And you're like, what? So now that Cressida has outed herself, she's lying, but now that she's outed herself, everybody's like, oh my God, like, wow, she's Lady Whistledown. And she goes to see the queen.
Is not that stupid.
No. And the queen is just like, I don't fucking believe this for a minute. She's like, no, there's no way this girl is not smart enough for this.
Yes.
It's not possible.
And she's like, to her.
Yeah, she does. So she's just like, you're not clever enough for this. And she's like, so how about you maybe just write a whistle down, like put that out. I really want to see what you come up with. And then we'll go from there. Yeah. And I'll tell you basically if I actually believe you or not. And then we'll see what the hell we're doing from that point forward. I don't know. I guess she figured like, oh, I'll just out myself and get the money for myself and then say I'll stop doing it. But I was like, didn't you think you'd be prosecuted? Like, I don't understand what she was trying to do with this.
Cressida?
Yeah.
She wanted her money.
I know, but the money for yourself, saying that you yourself are, like, I don't know about that. Like, I would have assumed that the queen would have had me killed or something.
Well, I mean, this is why the queen said it made no sense.
Yeah,
because, like, the whole point, and, like, Danbury says this to the queen later on, is that it's all about the game. It's all about the chase. The queen doesn't actually want Whistledown to come and out herself, because also somebody else says it, like, surely you make more money than this just writing your column and making the money from the column.
Yeah.
Why would you need £5,000?
Why would you need £5,000?
So, like, for somebody to approach and, like, out themselves makes zero sense.
Yeah.
To anybody who's not Cressida.
Yes, yeah, essentially. That's it. There's that's it. They're planning, like, all of the nuptials, basically, because pretty much at the same time, John officially proposes to Francesca, who accepts. And so everybody's very happy on both ends of those things, which is nice. So they get to move forward with their own wedding preparations. And the only thing that they're concerned about is that the queen will be pissed.
Which she's not. She's just kind of like, yeah, whatever.
She doesn't even fucking care anymore.
No.
She's like, oh, I don't care. I stopped caring about that the moment it was over, guys.
She's like, when you rejected that lemonade, like, I was done.
Like, I was finished with you. At the same, we also have a lot of looks in this season. I can't go through all the points here, guys. I'm never going to get through the whole thing. But we also have a lot of development happening this season for Violet to possibly have a new love interest as well, because
Lady Danbury's brother
Marcus Anderson, because he's shown back up in town and is, he's a widower and has been for a little while, and he's basically fully telling her, like, I would like you to set me up with somebody. Maybe you can do something to help me out with that. And we don't know why for quite a while, but she's just like,
yeah, she's very pissed about this.
She's very annoyed that he's there.
I mean, they do, like, I guess if they wanted to make it seem mysterious of what was going on, it was clear that, like, there was some sort of, like, animosity between them from when they were younger.
Yeah, it was like a childhood resentment of some sort, and you're like, oh.
Personally, I didn't care too much about this, like, conflict. I was like, can we just hear the story and move on with it? Like, I don't actually care all that much.
I guess I didn't need it to drag out for several episodes. Like, I was like, okay, fine. But especially because it's not like it wound up being anything incredibly salacious, or like if it turned out he was like a terrible person and she was like, stay away from my friend or I will fucking kill you.
But he wasn't even that terrible of a person. Like, he was a young child.
That's what I mean. Like, he was a kid and he wanted his sister to stay, and like that was it, and he just made a mistake. She was trying to escape before she was forced to marry her stupid ass husband, and he basically just told their dad that she was where she was. Escape. She was trying to leave.
The thing is, like, you're not telling me that this woman who herself has had multiple children and who has had a whole life could not look back and empathize with her little brother.
With, like, as a child. Like, yeah, no, that's it. I know. I find it a little bit hard to swallow, personally.
It was like a weird conflict for no reason.
I don't know. They added it, but it wasn't incredibly necessary. Other major plot point that continues for, like, a good couple of episodes is, so Benedict has been seeing Lady Tilly Arnold. Well, they're seeing each other. They're fucking. For a couple of because they met in the first part of the season and they hooked up essentially, and they've kind of been doing that ever since then. And then he comes to realize that she has another male friend who, like, they seem to be doing this on the regular as well, and the two of them ask him whether or not he would be interested in possibly joining them. And at first, he's very uncomfortable with the thought.
He runs away.
He kind of runs away. But I think that, like, we've been given a couple of indications from, like, even like the first season or so. So this is the full, like, spoilers, but this is the full season where we're fully stepping into the idea that queer characters exist in this universe.
Yeah.
They've kind of been like off to the side a tiny bit at different times, but this is like the first indication that we're getting that they're here and they do exist in this universe, and
but they are not fully out and proud, unfortunately, in this time.
No.
So, there has to be some discretion involved.
Exactly. And I do think it kind of makes sense that these episodes were all released in June because it was Pride.
Yeah, exactly.
Happy Pride, everybody.
Happy Pride.
We're late, but we're here.
Yeah.
So at first he's very uncomfortable with the whole idea, the whole situation, even after he chats with them and stuff individually, and he kind of runs away for a bit. But he comes back.
He does.
Because he's just kind of like, yeah, you know what, I would like to do this.
Yeah.
And we're like, I don't know, I could see Benedict reading a little bit queer to me.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Like from the first season when he's kind of like seeing things.
And he's like a little uncomfortable at first,
but
in a
very
way that
intrigued still.
Kinda, because he sticks around and he's still sort of like, okay, and he's like comfortable with it, which at that time, again, wouldn't have been something you would have seen very often, like people being comfortable with it, I mean. So it wasn't like a far step for me to be like, oh no, this would never have happened. No, I could see it. And when they did, I was like, yeah, okay. And then they go on to have a threesome that lasts like 2 episodes.
Oh yeah, like it's never ending. Like it's like, okay, insatiable.
Oh my god, I was
here.
watching these episodes and my fiance shows up like part of the way, like basically right before the threesome started, and he was like, Jesus Christ. He was like, this is going on forever.
It did go on forever. Like they kept flashing back and forth, obviously. That was an interesting addition to the story. Again, good for Benedict for having the freedom to explore
his sexuality and explore it with partners that he was comfortable with. Good for him.
Totally.
Storyline for him does sort of fall to pieces to a degree by the end of the season, because Tilly has a conversation with him and lets him know that she's kind of developed genuine feelings for him, really like beyond just the physical, and would maybe like to see if that is something that they would like to pursue. But he's like, that's not really what I'm looking for. Like, that's not really, I don't know. I think the thing with Benedict's character, he's always lost to a degree.
He is, because like, if you think about it, like he's like the second in command here, like second in ranking, and it's like, kind of, what do you do then,
Yeah.
Like, it's like, if you think about like any royal situation, they always call them the heir and the spare, you know? And so like, Benedict
he's
is
the spare, essentially, yeah.
And then like the rest of them, they can go and do their own thing and be individual and whatever. But like Benedict, it's like, if anything happens to Antony, he has to be ready at a moment's notice to kind of take the reins. And so, it's obvious he's going to have like an identity crisis like all the time.
Like all the time, that's it. And so part of that is probably that's it within what he's searching for in terms of like not wanting to be tied down by a partner, right? So that's something that he kind of rails against a lot. Anyway, so that's sort of like his kind of like in a nutshell a little bit this season, I would say. Right at the end of this episode, because Penn has been weird and anxious and bizarre this whole time, Colin is like, what the fuck is going on? What's wrong with her? Is she okay?
He thinks that she's having like second...
he's like very concerned. He's like second thoughts, essentially. About
like second chances. No, that's not what it is.
No, that's not it. Because of all this, that's it. He thinks that something is really wrong with her, so he follows her to the printers that she uses and the distributor that she uses for the Lady Whistledown papers. And of course, when he comes across this, he's smart. He puts 2 and 2 together and realizes that she is Lady Whistledown, and that's how that episode ends. And you're like, oh god,
you're like, uh-oh, gulp,
whoops. So he finds out and obviously is understandably and expectedly very pissed. And basically is like, I don't know how to deal with this.
And then there's just an entire montage of Colin just being really like pissy and dramatic and sleeping on the couch.
It's a lot. Yeah, he's just like, I'm going to sleep on the couch.
And he's just like, meh.
Yeah, because they do move forward and they do go through with...
They do get married.
They do get married. Because he's there and he's like, well, I've compromised you. And you're like, yeah, you should have thought about that twice.
Like, I'm a man of honor.
I'm a man of honor and I've compromised you, blah, 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 blah. So we should... we're still going to get married. And then we're going to have to decide what that marriage will be like, if it'll be like, and she's like, are you really? Which I have to say, I'm also like, really?
Yeah.
Like, you're in love with her is pretty fucking clear.
Well, yeah.
So.
It's like, so what? Because she's this columnist, like, you don't love her anymore?
I think that it would be very good for you to talk through all of the decisions that have been made and to air the grievances that you've had with the things that she's published, obviously. And also...
talk through them.
Yeah. And it's funny because even around this time, of course, like, the one person that Penn can really go to about this is Eloise.
And suddenly they're BFFs again.
Yeah, so this kind of actually helps to repair their friendship. And even Eloise is one who speaks to Colin and is kind of like, yeah, but haven't you noticed that, like, her papers, like, this season haven't been as salacious as in previous seasons?
And they've been more to, like, support, like, the little people,
and they've been less cutting towards people and things like that. Like, that's not really been something that she's been focused on as much anymore. So there's, like...
an evolution, at least.
Yeah, and there's that pressure. And, of course, because he loves her, he's also still very much like, we do have to protect you here, because if the queen finds out, like, we're fucked, essentially.
Yeah, and Cressida finds out that it's her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course. Because she's tried to, like, write a column as Lady Whistledown, and of course she's dog shit at it.
I mean, she comes close.
Well, her mom helps her with one of it. Her mom helps her.
Yeah. She's not terrible, but then, like,
the first one that she tries to write sounds like it was written by AI.
I know, it's so funny. It's like Chat GPT, but of course Penn cannot let it go. Like, she has this whole moment where people are like, just, like, let Cressida be Lady Whistledown, like, whatever. But I think it's Madame Delacroix who's like, I wouldn't let it go. Like, it's everything you built.
It's everything that you've... Yeah, because basically, essentially, that's it. Colin's like, well, you have to stop writing it.
Yeah,
and she's like...
she won't.
She's kind of like, I guess. And she's like, yeah, I'm going to. And Madame Delacroix is the one who's just like, really? Yeah. She's like, this is your... Because, and again, it's the difference between, like, the working class people versus the people who have means.
Yeah.
Because for her, like, she's built her entire business as this modiste, and she's done very well for herself, and she has garnered, like, a reputation in the city for being very good at what she does. And she's like, I would never give anything like that up. No. So why the hell would you? This is your livelihood.
It's your voice.
Yeah, this is your voice that you're putting out into the world, and you shouldn't just give that up for a man.
And so she can't. So she writes a column, and then that debunks Cressida's argument.
Cressida's thing. And she also, and again, because we just can't stop for some reason in this season, of course, her and Colin run into each other in the street, like, at night after she leaves the modiste. And they almost have sex
again
in the street, and you're just like, guys, you're getting married tomorrow. Calm down.
I know.
So yeah,
but they won't boink after marriage because he's just mad.
Because he's just mad about it.
The montage.
Yeah, essentially. But obviously, like, that, we all know that that's not really gonna work for now. But they do get married. But of course, everything's like awkward, and there's some tension for a period of time with Colin and Eloise, because he's like, you knew, like, how long did you know for, and you didn't say anything, and so he's upset about that, and she's like, can you...
I do appreciate that at this point, like, Eloise is just over this. Like, she's like, I was mad. I'm not mad anymore. Like, here are the reasons why. And, like, at the same time, like, it's just not worth all of us holding a grudge against each other.
And she's like, I think I can forgive her. I want to. And she's like, can you also maybe do that? And he's like, I don't know. And of course, his whole torment is that he's like, you're so lucky. Like, you've not been in love, so you haven't had to experience
this. And Eloise is like,
Eloise is like, wow, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. Anyway, I do feel bad because, like, the moms, you can tell, are both noticing all the tension between the kids, and they're like,
what is going on?
And they're so funny because they get to have, like, a moment where, like, because normally Portia's trying to, like, insert herself into stuff with the Bridgertons, and Violet's like, please go away.
Yeah.
But this is at this time when they're both acting weird. They're both looking at each other and they're like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know either.
What do we do?
Oh my god, yeah, they're both there and they're like, I don't know. They're not talking to me about anything, and so they both get, like, really upset about it. Yeah, exactly. All right. Okay, so is it in the, like, right before, I forget if it's which episode it's in, but anyway, everything moves forward with Marcus and Violet, because he comes to see her and he's sort of like, hey, it would be really great if you would save me a dance at the next.
Yeah, and then by this point, Lady Danbury's got over herself. So.
Yeah, that's it. And they've kind of, it's nice because they get to repair, like, the relationship, like a very strained, obviously, relationship, and I get the feeling didn't communicate very regularly for a number of years. And so it's nice that they kind of get to work through that, and that she has, like, another maybe person in her corner on a regular basis too,
sure.
Great. So their stuff is moving forward. Cressida's mother announces to her that their Aunt Joanna, who lives out in the countryside, or she lives in Wales, I'm sorry, she's in a totally different country.
I love how much they're hating on Wales here, by the way.
God.
It's like, I can't go with Wales. Yeah.
Well, it's just because there's no high society season in Wales, right? So there's nowhere for her to, and her Aunt Joanna seems like a barrel of laughs when she gets there. But essentially that's the whole point, right, is that she was trying to do this Lady Whistledown thing so she could get the money and she could leave without having to be married.
Right.
But unfortunately, that's it because of the way she's gone about everything. And even though she does wind up finding out that Pen is Lady Whistledown, she's forced, like, by the end of the season, I get the feeling we're going to be seeing her again in, like, more of a villain role, possibly, too, because she is sent away at the end of the season to live with her Aunt Joanna, and she's pissed.
Yeah, but I think I read somewhere that in the book she, like, calms her nays while she's out in the countryside.
I think so, but
she meets Lord Debling out there.
Really?
Yeah, and they kind of hit it off.
I don't remember that. Maybe.
I don't know. I didn't read the books.
I don't know.
I read somewhere that
I read some of them, but I don't remember that at all. Her character doesn't really make much of a splash in the books, to be honest. Like, I find that the actress in the show is really good. Like, she really carries that role well, and she makes you actually, like, pay attention to what she's doing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But her and Eloise, like, kind of sever their friendship and stuff like that, too, because Eloise is like, wow, you are a terrible person. Yeah. Like, really. Mm-hmm. Like, you are not a good person. I really tried with you.
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah, and, like, Eloise is just done with her at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all the guys have gotten together. They all have their little bachelor party, which is cute. And then the weddings take place for Pen and Colin, and later on also take place for Francesca and John in that last episode. And so the first indication that you're given about something, just a little something with the two of them, is that they have their ceremony. Of course, they're both very quiet, very introverted people, so they just have it at the house. It's like a little thing with the family there, which is fine. And they finish the ceremony. They kiss, and you can tell she's a little underwhelmed.
Yep.
She's like, oh, I didn't feel that thing that I think I thought I would feel.
But, you know, she was the one who kept saying, like, oh, I'm content with my match.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think Violet, as the mother who, you know, what I find really interesting is, like, Violet's the mom who always understands her kids.
She does.
Like, she always has a moment with them where she kind of steers them in the right direction.
Yep.
And what was interesting about this season is that, because normally you only get one marriage of a Bridgerton sibling, and this season Francesca also got married, and you know, Francesca was the one who said to Violet, you know, I don't have to have a love match the same way, like, just because it's that way for you, it's not the same for me. And Violet kind of questions her, like, abilities, I think, or her understanding
of what that means.
One of her children, at least. And so she takes a step back and says, fine, like, if that's what you want, like, I'm supportive, obviously, you know. And then the fact that Francesca's, like, underwhelmed in that moment, you're kind of like, guess mom knew what she was talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing. And I think that I don't think that it's the writer's prerogative or their sort of, like, point at all to think that there's, like, any kind of, like, diminishing of the connection that Francesca and John have. I don't think that's the point of it at all. I think it's just to give you a little bit of an indication that it's normal. She's young. She's not been exposed to anything, so she doesn't necessarily know what her preferences are. And so later on at the reception that they have after their wedding, John introduces his favorite cousin, Michaela, who is apparently they've been very, very close since they were kids, and she's kind of like a firecracker. She's very different from him. And the minute that Francesca lays eyes on her, oh boy, you can kind of just tell by her expression, like, she gets so flustered that she can't say her name properly.
Yep.
And you're like...
And she doesn't know what's going on. And, like, I hadn't read the book, so I couldn't understand what the hell this was about.
Yeah, so book spoilers for anybody who was also, like, surprised by any of this. In the novels, again, because they hadn't really gone in this direction with the books and everything the way that they have with the series, they hadn't changed things up the same way. In the books, Michaela is Michael Sterling, who is also John's cousin.
Yeah.
And does feature heavily in Francesca's book, which is when he was Wicked, I believe. So we'll have to see. I'm really curious to see whose season is next anyway, because we're going to have to see how certain things develop with certain characters. But you're kind of like, this is sort of we got all of the stuff with Benedict and like the threesome and that aspect of things, but this is our first indication about a queer character like in love possibly with somebody, basically love at first sight.
Yeah, and it was an interesting twist.
Yeah, when I saw it, I was like, oh, this is what we're doing. And we're sitting on the couch, and my fiance is like, I don't know what the hell we're talking about right now. And I was like, never mind, I don't have time to explain. So we're going to have to see how that stuff develops for them. But I'm looking forward to that. I love that the night before, other like couple of like little things here and there. I love that the night before the wedding, Colin comes home and Kate and Anthony are like in one of the rooms just having a chat.
They're like the new like mom and
dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's adorable because she's really like taken well to her role. Like she's doing party planning throughout the season and all this stuff, and she's very sweet to the staff. Like you can just see like she'll be, when she chooses to be Viscountess like fully eventually, she's just gonna be good at it.
And what I love about them this season is that like there's like no pressure on them to be
and
the
you can
Viscount and the Viscountess.
You can see how content they are in their relationship with each other because of that. Like there's no added pressure for them. And he, that's it. He comes in and the two of them have Anthony talks to them for a couple of minutes, and I love that she like immediately is always like telling him because he's just there and he's like, no, I was never stubborn about anything. And she's like, okay.
And she's like, you are really annoying me.
She's like, you're really annoying. Can you stop? And then her and Colin get to have like a cute little chat too, where she also does Violet-esque things and like gives him like life advice about relationships, and it's so stinking cute, and I love it. I love their little friendship. It's adorable, and he's like all happy to see them.
I know, it's really adorable. Yeah,
he like hugs everybody. It's really cute. Anyway. Essentially what it boils down to at the end of the day is that the pressure is on with the Queen, and so at the Featherington sisters, the other two, Prudence and Philippa, they decide that they're going to throw a really big ball at the end of the season.
And I love this, and like it's a tough one because there's all that you didn't mention, that there's this whole other thing going on this season where Lady Featherington, Portia, thank you. Yeah. Like, what is her name? She has basically like forged documents to give the estate or whatever, or the title to one of the first male heir. But there's a lawyer who's kind of skittering about, and he's like figured out that she lied, and so he does come and confront her just before this ball and says, like, I figured it out, like, you're done. And so like, these two are wanting to throw a ball. Because they're jealous of their sister who's getting all this attention.
Because she's marrying a Bridgerton and blah-de-blah-de-blah.
Blah-de-blah-de-blah.
Especially Prudence is not dealing very well with this at all.
And so, like, now Lady Featherington is stuck between, her daughters who want to throw this ball, her having no money, essentially, because she's about to go down. Yeah, pretty much. So they decide to throw this ball. They decide they're going to make it like incredible. So it really impresses the Queen. Bugs.
Yeah, that's it. Philippa keeps talking about having bugs there, and Prudence is like, you're a fucking idiot. Anyway, so when the night in question comes, that's it. Charlotte has been fully informed and has figured out at this point that, in fact, Pen is Lady Whistledown, and confronts her at the party. She's like, I'm not here for your fucking party. I'm here because this girl is Lady Whistledown. And so Pen admits it, reveals herself, and basically explains how she spent all of these years in the shadows of everybody, and it was at first just a way for her to connect with people that she was never able to connect with before, and it kind of developed into something else. But that she has no issue, like moving forward, working towards making it something a little bit different and a little bit better, and like supporting the Queen, and she puts like some frou-frou into it because she's just like, please don't kill me.
She does a good job there.
And Charlotte's just kind of like, all right, game sees game, basically, and it's just kind of like, okay.
She's like, all right, you're on. Make
like,
sure
sweet.
It's good.
Yeah, and then I love that as like the distraction, Philippa really comes through because she's just there and she's like, let the bugs out.
And then you're like, what? Oh my god,
no, what? And then they open this flower wall essentially, and all these beautiful butterflies just come floating out, and it's like the perfect distraction, and it really adds like levity to the moment, so it just kind of makes everybody be like, oh, okay,
bugs are okay.
Bugs are fine. She's just like, bugs. And Prudence is like, Jesus H, all right.
And she does say, you know, how smart Philippa is for thinking of it. And, like, Philippa's like, well, yeah, like, I knew this was going to work. It's like, all right, normally you don't really call a butterfly a bug, even though it is a bug, but, like,
I know, but you would just, it's a butterfly.
It's a butterfly.
You should have been clear.
It's a pretty bug.
I know, but it's very funny, and it really, really works for the moment.
Yeah, it does.
So because of all this and things are kind of out in the open, I think that Colin's able to stop being a sad boy about the whole thing and kind of realize, like, hey, it doesn't really matter. I think we can kind of let bygones be bygones because I'm, like, you know, madly in love with you and stuff.
Finally, like, it's just like, basically this is the season of Colin getting over himself, you know?
Well, it needed to happen eventually. I'm not a huge fan of that character. So
no,
anyway.
he really takes himself way too seriously.
Yeah, he's not my favorite. Anyway. So obviously we get our usual wrap up at the end where we jump forward in time, and Pen has had a little boy, and both of her sisters have had girls.
So Pen is the new Lady Featherington.
Yep. Yeah, love that for them, by the way. Yeah, and so they're all, like, everybody's kind of, like, happy in that way. Kate and Antony have left to go to India, and Violet is possibly starting on her own new romantic journey, which is good because she's got all these kids are leaving and stuff, and she's like, well, fuck, I need something to do with my time. You know, which is nice.
Eloise decides to go to Wales with Francesca.
Scotland.
Right.
Yes, it's fine. There are other UK countries mentioned here, but yes, John Sterling and his family, they have a very large estate up in the countryside in Scotland, and so he and Francesca are headed up there, and Eloise has asked if she can accompany them until the next season, so essentially for a year. Yeah. Pretty much. So she says goodbye to everybody, and, you know, it's bittersweet for her and Pen because they've just rekindled their friendship, but she feels like she really needs to change things up because this has been a little bit too much for her. I get the feeling in terms of, like, seeing all of this happen with her siblings and feeling stuck in a way because she's not been able to accomplish any of the stuff that she's really wanted to. And even without that, she's not even moved forward in any way, shape, or form with, like, on, like, the marriage mart in any way. So she's like, I need something different. I need to get away from all of this for a while. So she's decided to do that. What is it that... Oh, yeah, my last sort of thing that I'm really hoping doesn't happen is that obviously Pen is continuing to write the columns.
No, but she ends it, doesn't she? In that last scene, she's like Lady Whistledown signing off.
I thought she was going to continue doing it as herself, and that's why she'd written it like that.
Oh, is that what that was about?
Yeah.
Oh, I might have missed.
Yeah, I thought it was because she was like, I don't have to write it under a pen name anymore. Although, but my problem with that, I guess, is that I'm like, does this mean we're not getting any Julie Andrews narrations anymore?
I know, we got Julie Andrews to say succubus this season.
I know, that's true.
Like, we must have Julie Andrews reading.
She's a treasure, and I would like her to continue doing the voiceover for this. That would be nice. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure what we're going to see, like, with the future seasons. I also am... So here's what I'm thinking. Next season, either will be Francesca, Benedict, or Eloise. I don't know which one yet.
I think it's going to be Eloise.
I'm not sure. I'm really not sure if they're going to do that or if they're going to wait. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, she is a fun character to have kind of
around. Like, doing her thing as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know where we're going.
I think it'll either be Eloise or Francesca. Watch me be wrong, and it'll be Benedict.
That would be funny. Just to, like, fuck with everything. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not sure what we're going to see, but we'll have to see how things go. I'm curious to see. I get the feeling it might be either Benedict or Francesca, but I'm not sure yet.
I mean, I think people are, like, hankering for Francesca now.
Well, now that they've seen the way this season ended, they're like, well, although there's been all kinds of backlash, because of course there has.
Oh, there always is.
Well, look, okay, so there's a part of me that's like, yes, I'm not sure how they're going to work with the story moving forward, because queer people in the 1800s would have been weird. So I don't know what they're going to do in terms of Francesca and, like, Michaela and how all of that stuff will play out. I don't know. I know how the story works in the book, but in the book, it's a male character.
Yeah. And, like, you know, they might go the route of demonstrating, like, how people would have had to be discreet and conceal themselves.
Possibly, yeah.
Which would be an interesting take on the story for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, you know, I don't really know how the chain of events happens in the book, whether Francesca gets married to John Sterling at the same time as Colin and Pen? Because, like,
I forget what the actual physical timeline is.
Why would they introduce these characters if they weren't going to follow through in the next season?
Well, probably so that we can see them develop for a bit. Because, okay, so book spoilers. Like, because Francesca is married to John.
Yeah, he dies, doesn't he?
He does.
Yeah.
He does.
That's how she ends up with
I believe
Michael.
it's a brain aneurysm, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, so
it's just like
sad.
he goes for a nap and doesn't wake up. It's really sad.
Oh, sad.
Yeah, it's very sad. And because they do, like, it's quite clear at the beginning of the novel, they love each other. They're very comfortable with each other, but unfortunately, that's it. He dies, and then it's a number of years later, technically, that her and Michael start up their thing.
So this might just be, like, something happening, like, you hear about the story where while they, like,
we might
focus
see
on another character next season.
And maybe, unfortunately, if it's not her season, unfortunately, what we're going to get is certain scenes on and off with her and John where we see them all happy, and then it just rips our heart out later.
Probably. Like, that's what I'm thinking is going to happen. Like,
Yeah.
are they just going to be background characters until they get to the point in the story where she's with Michaela?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. How they're going to do it. So we'll have to see how all of that develops. I don't know. Shondaland can do whatever they want at this point.
Waiting.
So, yeah. And I'm very curious in the future seasons as things continue, how much, because of the Lady Whistledown aspect of it, how much Pen and Colin will feature in future seasons of the show.
I'm sure it's going to be, like, kind of a pattern, maybe. I mean, depends how much the actors want to be involved, but it could be a pattern, like, we see them a little bit less next season, and then they're just out the following
And then they're kind of out, and possibly we still get, like, the papers from Lady Whistledown, but we don't necessarily see Pen on a regular basis.
Yeah, it might be like, oh, Colin and Pen are traveling out over here, and we're seeing her papers.
Yeah, blah, blah, whatever it is. I don't know. Anyway, overall, I really enjoyed this season, and I guess I really liked it because it was fun to have the central story be two characters that we developed over the past 2 seasons, so you didn't have to introduce anyone new for them, which was fun.
Yeah.
And obviously the whole Lady Whistledown thing adds, like, an entire other aspect to that story specifically. I mean, look, like, they had already changed things up so much in the sense that in the books, you don't know that Pen is Lady Whistledown until her book.
Oh, really?
You do not find out ahead of time until her actual book. And as far as I remember, nobody ever finds out she's Lady Whistledown like Colin does, but, like, the Ton does not.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
it'll be interesting to see what they do with that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they use that aspect moving forward. I don't know. Anyway, it was a good season, and I really liked it.
I really
liked it, and we would already like another season. So maybe if you guys could get on that would be great.
We don't want much.
No. But thanks for joining us for this bonus episode, and hopefully you guys also enjoyed the season. But whether or not you did, you can let us know on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads at FullyBookedCA, and you can also check out our Facebook group, which is at facebook.com/groups/book was way better. But until next time, guys, keep on reading.
Thanks, everyone.